The people who take it upon themselves to try and humble you is the strangest thing because usually you're already moving with grace, you're already staying in your lane, you're already doing the internal work. Basically, you're already humble. Peace, chosen ones. Happy Owl Wisdom Wednesday. I hope you all are doing well. This is the Mystic Owl speaking. Happy April. Happy full moon. So, today I want to get into the unnecessary humbling tactics that people who have confidence and insecurity issues attempt to place onto those of us who are already peaceful, who are already kind and calm, and who are absolutely already humble. It's as if for some people, your confidence or even just your peace alone feels like an attack to their ego. They see you're not shaking, not scared, usually calm, usually not upset, and for some reason, these people feel the need to try to get a reaction out of you, and they usually do it under the guise of looking out for you or keeping your feet on the ground or keeping you humble, but that's not always the case. It's usually some kind of spiritual and emotional manipulation. And realistically speaking, it's just projection and it's disguised as concern when really it's projection and manipulation, which are forms of abuse. It's the people who like to bring up who you were or where you were 5, 10, 15 years ago when you're clearly not the same person. And they like to remind you where you came from, so to speak. These people aren't actually worried about where you came from or where you're going. They're just uncomfortable with your frequency. They're just uncomfortable with this newfound energy and confidence that you walk in. And that's not your problem. That's their problem. And I noticed in my own personal life, people usually only do this to people who were very passive in the past, who always like to keep the peace. I'm one of the people who always like to keep the peace. I would avoid conflict like the plague. But today, I don't care about keeping the peace. I will cause a scene. I will express myself. I will speak up for myself. I will protect myself. I will trust myself. All of the things that I encourage other people to do, I actually do it. And that's a problem for a lot of people who have known me personally. It's a problem for them. I guess maybe it's something to do with uncomfortability or it being new. They don't like the new normal. But again, that's not a me problem, that's a them problem. They have to get used to me being in a new energy. I don't have to get used to them not liking it. When someone tries to humble you out of the blue and unnecessarily, they are not trying to help you grow. They're trying to shrink you so they don't feel small standing next to you. This is all the energetic thing. This is all energy warfare, spiritual warfare. It's as if they want to clip your wings because they haven't figured out how to use their own yet. And it's not that they don't have wings, because in this example they do. It's just they haven't figured out how to fly yet. And that has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with their ego and their projections. Those of us who are energetically aligned and spiritually aware, we have to move with so much discernment when we encounter this type of energy. Because if you are already a humble person, you don't need an external force to come in and correct you or make you even more humble. It's attempting to place you in some kind of submissive role. And us in the spiritual community, we don't do that. We don't submit to anyone's ego. That's a big no. And I'm gonna probably talk about that in one of these upcoming episodes. Our humility comes from our connection with the divine, with the most high, with spirit, with our ancestors, and from a inner deep knowing that we are a vessel for something bigger than ourselves. When someone comes at you with that humbling energy, when you're already being humble, notice how it makes you feel in your body and your mind and your chest and your gut. It'll usually feel heavy, it'll usually feel restrictive or like a violation. That's because that is an attempt to dim your light so that their shadow doesn't look as dark. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your happiness or your confidence. If they aren't happy and if they aren't confident, oh well, it has nothing to do with you. If they think you're too high on yourself, that's a reflection of their own ceiling, not yours. Keep your vibration high, keep your boundaries firm, and realize that true concern will never seek to diminish your spirit or to dim your light. Because if someone keeps poking at your confidence and your spiritual light long enough, they can start to make you shrink in spaces where you were never doing too much to begin with. These types of energies will attempt to humble a person who's already humble, and that's an issue for me because I've experienced this myself pretty much my entire life. And these people know exactly what they're doing. They can feel when you're finally growing into yourself. They can feel when you're no longer apologizing for existing. They can feel when your energy is becoming more radiant, more rooted, and that irritates people who benefited from your previous insecurities. A lot of these people feel more comfortable when you doubt yourself. And they are not attempting to humble you because you need humility. It's because they need access to a smaller version of you, to a more timid version of you, to a more insecure version of you. And that's not the space or the energy that we are in this new cycle that just started March 20th, 2026. When someone repeatedly attempts to reduce your confidence, reduce your voice, your joy, your self trust, your standards, your presence, what they are trying to do is interfere with your spiritual authority. And a lot of people think that having spiritual authority looks like being a seer or a prophet or having discernment or spiritual gifts. But what it really is knowing who you are, not folding under pressure, not begging for validation or attention, not over explaining yourself, walking with self respect and confidence, and carrying your light unapologetically, regardless of how it makes anyone else feel. That's spiritual authority. If you've already done the inner work and you're still continuing to do the inner work, because we know that the inner work is never done. If you've already been humbling yourself before God, before the Most High, before Spirit, before your ancestors, before your own reflection, then you do not need to keep volunteering yourself to be emotionally handled by people who secretly resent you from becoming the highest version of yourself, the highest version of your spiritual self. These are not people who you want to be in your spiritual circle. If you stay to the end, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to tune in to next week's I Wisdom Wednesday for more spiritual guidance and insight. And as always, speak life over yourself, take care of yourself, love yourself, trust yourself, and protect yourself. I love you, chosen ones. Peace.